I am going to record this because I do record office hours as well. But my name is Will. I am your instructor for the next 8 weeks. I'm really excited because we are launching our Flask material this stack. Flask is what we call a micro framework. And so it is wildly powerful. There's so many things that you can do. And it's powerful because it's not powerful in the sense like it has a bunch of code connected with it, but it's powerful because it's kind of bare bones and you can do so many things. You can make it and transform it into so many different things. So that's what makes it wildly powerful, which is really, really cool. I've been an instructor here for the last, coming on a year now, which is really fun. I love development. I came from my degree was in marketing and economics, but then I went into the nonprofit sector for a while and just decided to make a change. And so started learning how to code, started kind of diving into different courses and deciding, do I want to do this? Do I want to be a developer? And kind of fell in love with it. I love problem solving. I love kind of like what you did, Peter. I love just trying to figure out ways to make things more efficient, which is really fun. And so that is me. I currently live in the Seattle metro area, which is fun. It's the best time right now in Seattle because it, stays bright until like close to 10 o'clock. And then the weather's perfect. It's like in the 80s. We live on the water. It's the dream. So that is a little bit about me. I do also like to ask people, if you were an emoji, what would you be? So that's kind of what we'll do. We'll do your name and where you're from. And then if you were an emoji, what would you be? My emoji, I think, and you'll get to know this as we go through the class, I think my emoji would be a unicorn, only because it's fitting with my development style in the sense of I love to use unicorn. That'll be my big variable name when I am trying to show that, hey, this can be named anything, right? It doesn't have to be named name or first name. It can be named anything, but then there's, proper ways and syntax of what we should do to make it understandable. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Mel, do you want to go?
Okay, so we're doing, what's the information?
Name, where you're at, like where you're located, and then if you're an emoji, what would you be?
Okay, hello everybody. I am TA Mel B, and I'm located in Santa Cruz, California, with my lovely husband and pug. And I've been coding recently, and I just got this job in April. I'm super stoked about it and I love it. So please feel free to reach out to me on Discord. When we're not in class, if you need some help or extra pair of eyes, it's my jam. And then if I was an emoji, my first thought is party emoji with the little like streamer, like kazoo thing. I don't know. I feel like that was me as a kid, irritating and just always like, ah. So yeah, that's me. Party emoji.
Love that. All right, I've got just a way on my kind of obviously everybody's windows and who and what placement is different. So I'm just going to call out names from like my top left over. So that is you, Peter. You're on my top left, so you are up, my friend.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'm Peter. I am from Brick, New Jersey. So it's near like Tom's River, Point Pleasant. Those are probably the only things you might have heard of. Jersey Shore happened in this area for a point. What else was there? Sorry.
So your name was Peter. You're from New Jersey, and then what? If you were an emoji, what would you be?
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure if I was missing something else. The emoji. I'm looking through emojis right now on Zoom. I'm trying to figure out which one. I'd probably just be this. Honestly, if you could see it in my corner,
yeah,
the generic grin face, but specifically the one with the weird rounded eyes instead of the other one. I don't know why. It's just I don't know. I don't really know what to describe it with, but it's just generally, as long as I'm around the right people and in the right environment, I'm usually a very, bright personality. I'm always here to like encourage others to do their best and that kind of thing. So
awesome.
It's the kind of person I try to be.
Yeah, well, we're really glad to have you. That's great. Wesley, you are up next, my friend.
All right. I'm Wesley. I'm from Columbus, Ohio-ish area, Dublin, Ohio. Central Ohio, right? So much fun all the time. But if I was an emoji, I would be this weird robot arm. because I pride myself in being mostly made of metal.
Do you actually have metal inside of you?
Yeah, I have metal in, I like broke both my femurs, my tibia fibia, and my right arm and my entire face in a car accident
Oh
5
my
years ago.
goodness.
Like I'm discount Wolverine at this point. Like legitimately. I got titanium everywhere. It's so
That's
much
awesome. Vibranium.
fun. Mhm.
That's awesome. All right, I love that. Next up would be, is it Ethan? Is that how you spell? Is that how you say
Yeah,
Ethan?
that's right. Ethan. Yep.
Yeah,
Like Nathan with no.
Perfect.
So yeah. So I'm Ethan. I'm in Santa Monica, California. And emoji. I think two things come to mind. I think maybe the angry emoji would come off, and not because I'm angry, but I'm from New York my whole life, and I talk fast, and I'm kind of direct. So it maybe sounds angry, but I'm not
Yeah.
angry. I'm just efficient,
That's it.
for better or worse. And maybe like a rocket ship. I spend my days all day, helping people launch businesses and creating my own businesses and things like that. So I guess that kind of fits too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you just like a consultant, or how do you?
Yeah, I think you could describe it as that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But like a whole lot of weird concept stage businesses and early stage and A round and like early stuff, basically.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have your background? Is that like, do you have your degree in business, or did you start a business? Or how'd you get into that?
I was in consulting originally, and I was in corporate, and I always ignored my job and just was creating my own businesses on the side. And
Yeah.
over time, I've just seen a lot of businesses and people started to ask for help and rise of the digital economy. And it just kind of became more of a thing, to be honest with you. So, I went to grad school for business, but I think it's more that I just have, I was not good at my corporate jobs, and I was just always creating my own stuff, to be
Yeah.
honest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All righty, my friend. Now, is it Sadiq?
Yes.
All right, Sadiq, you're up, my friend.
Yep. Thank you. I mean, first of all, hello to everyone. I mean, you guys can call me Ahmad, my first name. I think that would be easy. I'm also feeling so sleepy. So yeah, I live in Virginia. In this group, I know obviously and Peter, but I'm happy I'm meeting you guys. If I was emoji, I mean, don't laugh. I've never used emojis a lot. I would go with a simple normal. For any event, I go with the normal emojis, just smiling. That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, and I don't know the names. Like for any type of reaction, I use just one, and people laugh at me. So
No, that's funny. Hey, you're simple. You know what you like. That's all right.
yeah, I always want to. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I think being simple, you would. It's always your time, but if you have like your own special brand, it can be expired. So always simple.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, is it Christiani? Is that how you say?
Yeah, that's right. Christiani.
Christiani. Cool. Can you share? We're just going around and saying just your name, which we now know, where you're kind of located. You don't have to give like the city. You can just say a state if you are comfortable with that. And then if you were an emoji, what would you be?
Okay. I'm in the New York, New Jersey area. I work in New York, but I regularly go back to New Jersey because that's where I spent a significant portion of my life. Emoji, I don't know what to call it. It's the one where it's just the lines for the eyes and the mouth, just a straight horizontal line.
Yeah.
Mostly emotionless.
Yeah. You just kind of like, ugh, that one.
Yep. That's pretty much my expression to a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Cole, you are up next, my friend.
Hold on, guys. Hopefully you guys, I've been having some mic issues, so you guys can hear me, right?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, no, my name's Cole. I'm in San Fernando Valley of California. Ethan might be the only one that knows it. I'm up in a city called Reseda. You'll hear it in a Tom Petty song. That's about all you'll know. Rough day in Reseda. That's exactly it. But yeah, if I was an emoji, I'd probably find myself as like the laughing one, because I tend to find myself laughing in even the worst situations. It's got me in more trouble than it should have, but you know, yeah, definitely the laughing one.
Love that. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And last one would be Michaela. Michaela, where are you located? And if you're an emoji, what would you be?
I'm in Northern California, and if I was emoji, I would be the emoji with the tissues. You guys
Okay.
know? Just
The
because
tissue.
it just always made me laugh. You can make a story out of it, like kind of look like somebody tasted something sour. They're like, "Oh no!" It just always makes me laugh. I don't know why.
Okay. I love that. That's awesome. Well, cool. Thanks for entertaining and doing that. We do have somebody in here that is QA Angelica. They're just quality assurance for Coding Dojo, making sure that I am doing my job correctly. So welcome, Angelica. Glad to have you here. If you need anything, obviously, feel free to reach out. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just want to say hi, everyone. And I'm looking forward to, meeting you all. Well, I'm meeting you now, but looking forward to observing all of you guys.
Yeah,
Don't
Angelica,
worry.
if
Yeah.
you want to participate and say where you're at, and if you're an emoji, happy to do that. Just no expectations.
Oh, an emoji. Well, I'm a Filipina, so we always smile. Just the typical smile emoji. That's all.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, like I said, this is more of just a meet and greet for today. We don't have a ton. I guess I would be curious. You guys can do it in chat. You can come off mic, kind of whatever your preference is. But you know, why I love hearing the stories, especially as an instructor, of why people got into development. Why did you pick coding? You know, what made you want to be a developer, and what made you do like Coding Dojo with that?
I can start if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I spent the last almost 3 years of my life teaching kids how to code, and I've seen the enormous impact it has. But at the same time, I feel like my scope is rather small. I see the problems in education. I see how these kids need access to materials, and you know, this amazing tool that we have, which is a computer, but most kids don't know how to use. So I just want to find a way to use technology and use coding to help further coding.
Yeah.
Further education.
That's awesome. No, I think that's a great thing, Wesley, and I think that you are onto something. My kind of anticipation is that development is going to get into a way to where now, you know, I think within the next 10, 15 years, development will be, I know that they're already doing this, like in my area, they're doing a week of coding. And so for a week, somebody comes in and teaches them how to code, like all the little 5th graders and stuff, which is kind of crazy. But I think it's going to now start being a class that, I don't know, almost like taking another language, you know, because I think that it is something that's super, super usable and important. And I think tech is absolutely the future. So thanks for sharing. And this isn't mandatory. You guys don't have to say this. Just, you know, I'm always curious. So thanks for sharing that. Anybody else want to kind of share why they got into it?
Let me share something. So this Ahmed. For me, I mean, first of all, I mean, being capable of bringing change to the society, and the impact is beyond we think. I mean, currently, like I have 10+ years of construction experience. I'm learning it, but it's so boring when I see I don't see big impact like in society. Like if you think of construction, it's 1,000 years old field. Everybody can build something for themselves. But and also the other thing, technology is keep impacting and distracting other fields like there's nothing. and earn more.
Yeah.
Earn more.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, and see how it goes. One really important thing. So before technology, if you were inside our house, right? I want to give example. So we were safe, right? Our money was safe, we were safe. But right now, technology is, if you are not updating yourself with technology, you're not safe anymore. So that's the second, like I want to learn like beyond that, cybersecurity, all these stuff, so at least protect myself from all these things that are going around me. So
Sure. Sure. And cybersecurity is, I mean, it's its own.
yeah,
massive
definitely. Yeah,
thing,
but
which
it's
is-
still technology.
Yeah, which is cool. But we had a guy who went through the cohort and he led cybersecurity. He was like a senior developer for cybersecurity, but he wanted to move towards web applications. And what's cool is he was saying a lot of this Python, that's what like cybersecurity and whatever he was doing was moving towards Python. So this is kind of a cool first step for learning. If that is something you're super interested in, learning Python will absolutely help that. The ins and outs of Python, which is a cool thing. Python's really powerful. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody else want to share why they got into tech?
Sure. Yeah, I got a couple weird things. I feel like not as good of a human anymore, by the way, after those two going, but whatever. I have a couple of reasons. So the two main reasons that I had in mind originally is I've had too many times where I've had a project or something that I wanted to go after, where I've had a product team, I've outsourced something, whatever, and I was the bottleneck. I didn't know how to communicate most effectively enough to them, or they kind of dropped the ball on it, and I had no knowledge. Like I don't have a computer science background. I don't have a coding background. I had to kind of wedge my way in to figure it out. So to be able to mobilize things more effectively is better, which includes good tech, good for society tech and business, or both in some cases, which happens a lot. And so what I wanted to really learn was I wanted to be able to code bots eventually, or at least understand coding bots. And eventually I want to get to Solidity as well, because I've spent a lot of time in blockchain, NFT, stuff like that. So I want to get in that direction too. And then in general, I think just having the knowledge, better coding knowledge as it pertains to my clients, I'd say like 50% of them at least are in tech. So it just makes it a little bit more solid to understand the coding side as well.
Yeah, no, great point. And I think especially with the last year and a half that we've had, I think that even shows, how prominent tech is, and just how even in a situation, and even if you can kind of take a step out of where we're at now, and, even just with climate kind of stuff, tech can help with that, right? We can create models. We can create models for food and for, figuring out best ways to, like I saw something the other day, and it was pretty expensive, but it was a thing that grew like herbs. But what it did is it tested the dirt, and then from the dirt, it could tell, which plant needed how much water, and then it would like give it that specific amount of water. It's that way it didn't just give a generic water, but it could actually take readings, based off of those readings, create like, oh, this is how much water that this plant needs, which I think is great when it comes to just technology. I don't know if you guys saw, I love, there's this podcast. I'll put a podcast thing because I love podcasts on tech. There's two great ones, and one's called Dev News. And it talks about like this kind of keeping up with dev news and developers and stuff like that. But I love kind of keeping up with what's going on. I don't know if you guys saw it last week or 2 weeks ago, Saudi Arabia, Dubai specifically, sent drones up into the clouds and emitted electrical charges.
That was so cool. I
in
saw
such
that.
in such a pattern and in such a way that it made clouds come together, because out there they get 0.04 inches of rain a year. And it's because a lot of the rainfall evaporates before it can actually get to the ground. But they did it to where the droplets got bigger and they actually made it rain. They can now make clouds come together and rain. And so now you look at, I live in the Pacific Northwest, where wildfires are absolutely a thing. You start seeing this technology. It's like, oh my goodness, how can we use this to put out a wildfire that, firefighters can't? So I think tech is absolutely going to be crucial. which is cool. And it also helps with, always everybody has an idea and then somebody else does it and becomes a billionaire. Like I remember there's one definitive thing in high school. I said, what would be interesting if somebody created an app or something and delivered food from restaurants that don't deliver. I was like, that would be great. So many people would use that. I was like, nah, that sounds cool, whatever. And here we are. I could have been DoorDash, whatever. All right. Anybody else?
I think my direction isn't so grand. I'm just looking to change careers. I used to test slot machines. That was for 9 years, and then after that, I went into aviation to fix planes. Been there for about a little bit over 2 years, and I don't think it's for me also. So
Sure.
But I have been doing some coding, like for some personal projects, but I've always felt like I need to round off my skills a little bit. I think I've focused too much on a few things, and there's other parts of web development that I really should know.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth. I was one kind of like you that said I need to do a career change. So there's a lot of power in that. So I'm really glad you're here. Really, really grateful. Peter, you want to go?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in retail. So my parents own a small business in our area, and I help run that business through managing grocery and a bunch of other stuff. I feel like I've always been like the technology guy kind of thing. It's a role that I've had, whether in the store or otherwise. But I do a lot of functions like that, like with Google Sheets. I got into like a lot into automating things and things like that. And coding is something that like throughout past years of my life, I've always been into. I did a little bit in high school, did a little bit through like an extracurricular. It was Vex Robotics and stuff like that. And I've always like touched on it and always enjoyed it. But for whatever reason, I avoided doing that. It was just a stupid thing when I was young. But and I went into mechanical engineering for a little bit. Didn't end up panning out. But so now I sort of took a break off of things, and now I'm coming back to here and just redoing and getting myself into the right place. So, and obviously the pay raise also helps. I have a lot of things like humanitarian things and otherwise that I want to be able to do with my future and that kind of stuff. So in order to see that kind of stuff through, I'm gonna have to make some decent money. So
yeah, definitely. That's awesome. What kind of business do your parents own?
It's a health food store. So like health food and supplements.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Anybody else want to share? Daniel, welcome. We're just kind of treating this as just a kind of meet and greet. It's our first ever office hour together. So if you're up for it, we all went around and said our name, where we're from, and if you were an emoji, what would you be? So if you're up for it, we'd love for you to kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So right now I'm in a leadership development program at a bank as a commercial banking analyst from Champaign, Illinois. Obviously, I think like a lot of people here, looking for a career change. So that's why I got into Coding Dojo. Yeah, so that's I guess a little bit of myself. I actually have a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was downloading my Python, I'm not finding it in my terminal. Like I downloaded it.
Do you have a Windows?
I have a Mac.
You have a Mac. Okay. Did you do Python 3?
Yeah, I did Python 3, I believe. I just downloaded the most recent version, the 3.96.
I mean, sorry, in your terminal, when you type Python-V, are you saying Python 3 space
Oh,
dash V?
yeah, I am saying Python 3-V.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and share your code or share your screen?
Screen. Okay. So this is what it shows, command not found.
So you're in your bash profile. So what operating system do you have?
It's a great
know.
question.
Can you click out of that?
So like exit out of this?
Yep. And then in your top left, you're going to see that Apple,
Yeah.
and you're going to click about this Mac. And then there, it's going to tell you a little window is going to pop up, and it's going to tell you what sort of OS you have.
Okay. Can you see my screen still or no?
I cannot. I think you just shared that instead of sharing the full screen. You just shared the terminal.
How do I share my
Should say like screen one.
desktop? Okay, I got it.
Hey, Daniel, just a small thing too, because I had the same issue. I'll be at the bottom of the curve in this class, so it'll make you always feel good.
There you go.
The simple as like taking the $ and whatever the preface was off of it and putting that in terminal per the instructions, like that solved it. That actually showed Python showed up. So there's the $ and whatever's after it. That's not supposed to actually be dropped into terminal to check whether it's there. I don't know if that helps.
That definitely could help.
So let's see. You have Mojave, which my encouragement would be not now because it's going to take forever, but I would absolutely update operating systems. Don't do Monterey, but go to Big Sur. Yeah, Trey. Yeah, don't do the $. Yep, just type Python 3.
Oh, just Python 3?
Space. Yeah, so you're in Python 3 now. Perfect.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah, so you're good to go.
All right.
But yeah, I would suggest again right there, it says Mac OS Mojave. That
Yeah.
one is, I think now with Monterey, that's about 4 behind. So I would at least update to Big Sur.
So
But
I
I
just
wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't do it right now because it will take probably like 45 minutes.
okay, so I'll do it like tonight. you're
Yeah, I
saying?
would say tonight, go ahead and just do that.
Perfect. All right, sweet. I'm glad it was a quick fix.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure how to stop the share.
Yeah, I'll stop it for you. There you go.
Okay, sweet. Thank
Cool.
you.
Anybody else? Of course. Anybody else have any questions just on the material as you're getting going, as you're getting started?
I have a question.
Yeah, hit me with it, man.
Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Show you. So yeah, so I know I have Python 3, but for some reason when I'm typing Python dash version,
Mhm.
it shows
Just
me,
2 Yeah.
yeah,
So
but
by
yeah.
default, Python comes installed on a Mac computer. And so that's why you have to actually say Python 3. There we go.
Sorry.
That's why you have to say Python 3, because by default, it does come with Python 2.7, or I think it normally comes Python 2.2, but yep. So now say dash version. There we go.
Yeah,
So
it was
that's
a
what-
little confusing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that'll come in handy. We're going to talk today about something called string interpolation, and that is something that Python 3 offers and Python 2 does not. So that's why it's going to be important if you have a Mac that you always make sure you say Python 3 instead of Python.
Okay, awesome. One more thing, I'm sure you will touch base on that. So I installed these two things on Python. This one looks very heavy. Are we using this or no? I should get rid
Nope.
of it.
Nope, you can use IntelliJ. I will be using VS Code. Everything we will be doing, it can be done in VS Code. So you don't need IntelliJ. It's great for Python if you're doing a lot of data science stuff or NumPy or anything like that. But we're not doing that. So you can just do VS Code. You do not need those two.
So do you suggest I should completely get rid of it or not, just keep it like? Or
It kind of
it's
depends.
heavy because
Yeah, I was gonna say depends on your memory currently. If you don't have that much memory, or I mean, you don't need it. So I
Okay.
always run on, if I don't need something, just kind of keep it off of my computer.
Okay.
But totally up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have any other questions?
It will. Is the general flow that we're going to be coding everything through terminal and just Python, you know, the thing we installed just sits in the background? So most things are going to go through terminal, or I guess VS as well. Is that the idea?
No, what we'll actually do is we're going to code everything on VS. We're going to do some shell work. And so there will be some assignments that are called Python shell. And so we'll see, especially when we get to like Flask and kind of working through there, we're going to be using the shell so that way you guys can get comfortable with the terminal. But you will be writing your code in VS Code. And what we can do just as a way to run it, I'll share my screen real fast. Let's share too. So I've got this right here. This is what we're going to be going over today. But I've got this file called main.py, and I just have this x equals 2 plus 2 print x, right? This is just some Python code. So what I can actually do if I'm exactly where I only see desktop Discord.
Yeah, I see your mouse waving around and stuff, but I don't actually see what it's waving at.
Can you guys see my screen?
We just see the screen with the back with like your desktop background.
Desktop.
Oh, weird. Let's try sharing my other screen. That's always the screen that I share. Let's see. Oh, I think I did the wrong one. My bad. Let's see.
Yeah, it was whatever screen had Discord on it, if that helps.
Discord's not even open, so I don't know why. Desktop 1. Can you guys see my VS Code now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, my bad. Okay, so I've got this VS Code open right here, right? To where I've got x equals 2 plus 2. This is just me declaring a variable. We'll go through this today. Me declaring a variable. You guys might have seen it or definitely saw it like this in JavaScript. In Python, we learn not to put var. It interprets it for us. Now, what I can do in the terminal, though, is if I'm here and I'm currently in my lecture 1, like I've navigated there, I can just run this. If I save this, I can run Python 3 main.py because that is my file name. And when I do that, it does and runs this code. And you can see that it gives me the number 4 right there. So that's a way that you can run your code from, I'm trying to make this as big as I can for you. Through the shell, through the terminal, we can run our code. But there's other things that we can do also that will allow us to run our code. And then when we get to Flask, it'll all be run on an actual server. So we'll have a server and you can go to localhost 5000 and that will show everything that we need. So great question though. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I got a quick one. It
Yeah,
might
go
be a
ahead.
silly one, but so for Windows users, are we doing things through like command prompt? Because I saw a couple different things like command prompt, PowerShell, actual Python terminal. So like that's where I was getting a little lost and confused there on which one I should have open.
Yeah, I believe command prompt is the one that you want to go with because Git Bash will have and act a little funny sometimes. So you do want to
That I noticed. And like I know if I type in in the command prompt, if I just type in Python, hit enter, it'll give me those chevrons and I'm good there.
Yeah. So
cool.
I would work with that.
So all right, cool. And then are we, I guess, navigating like my files and folders? I was having a little trouble figuring that out.
I'd be happy to go through some of that right now. Okay. So here, let's say this is it's called a ZSH. It's because anything Catalina and above. So Daniel, the operating system right after yours is called Catalina. So anything after that switched from BSH or Bash, sorry, to ZSH, but it all does the same thing, right? This is my terminal, right? This is a brand new screen that I just opened up. What I can do is I can say PWD, which is my present working directory. This tells me where, oh my gosh.
I was gonna say.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Thanks, guys. Here is my terminal. I just opened it up, so I'll do it again just to show. Brand new. Cool. What I can do is I can say PWD, and that stands for present working directory. Basically, I just want to see where on my computer am I, and I'm going to navigate through my different folders. You can see here, I've got all these different folders and kind of in the background, right? I have all these different folders and images and videos. I can navigate through, I can navigate to all of them through my terminal. But what I do here is I say PWD, and that stands for present working directory. This says I am currently at users/William Calhoun. Now that is my base of where I'm at. I'm not even in my desktop yet, right? That is kind of when I log in, this is where I go. Now, one thing to note is some of these might be a little bit different if you are a Windows user. The main ones I'm about to show you, the navigation ones are the same, but there might be a couple that are very different. But we'll have those on the platform as well for you. But if I want to see what do I have access to from this specific area, from William Calhoun, which is where I'm currently at, what do I have access to? I can type something called ls. What this does is this gives me a list of what I have access to. Here you can see, oh, okay, perfect. I have my desktop, I have my documents, I have my downloads, my library, I have all this different things. Okay, perfect. I know that I've got a folder on my desktop that I want to access. We'll call it my instruction folder. So let's go ahead and navigate to my desktop. Now, because I've done this, I have access to my desktop from William Calhoun. So what I do is I say CD. That means change directory. It means I want to go somewhere else. And where do I want to go? I want to go to my desktop. Now I can type out desktop, or I can type desk and then press a tab and it will auto-complete it for me, which is kind of nice. Now, obviously, if I just do this, it's got to be unique enough that it knows what you're going to. If I do this, it says, well, which one that starts with a capital D do you want to go to? Do you want to go to desktop? Do you want to go to documents or downloads? The one thing that is unique is this one is DE and the others are DO. So I can do that and press tab. When I do that, you can see that I am now at my desktop. So if I say PWD, now I went from users William Calhoun into my desktop. If I type ls, I will have access to everything here. You can see chuck.jpg is right here. That's my dog Chuck. He's the goat. Right? I have access to all of these things on my desktop right here. Java Fun, Java All, thumbnails, etc., etc., etc. Microsoft Reactor, all that good stuff. So I can navigate through using that CD. I'm going to type clear so we have some room. Now let's say I navigate into instruction, but I realize actually I don't want to be in instruction. Well, in order for me to go back, what I can do is I can type CD space and then 2 periods. These 2 periods say go back 1 level. If I wanted to go all the way back to William Calhoun and get out of my desktop, I could do a /2 periods. Now, if I say PWD, I'm back to William Calhoun. So the CD is change directory. These 2 dots means go back 1. If I want to go back more than 1, I put a / and I do as many as I want to do, right? If I want to go all the way to users, I would have done .. /.. But now I can CD into desktop. And what I can do, if I know I want to go into instruction on my desktop, instead of saying CD desktop enter, CD instruction enter, I can actually just continue. I can say go into my desktop. In my desktop, there's something called instruction CD. I also want you to go in there. Now, if I type this, cool, I'm now in my instruction CD. So really the ones you want to worry about are ls, which says, well, what do I have access to at my current directory? If you don't know where you're at, And after a while, you'll get to know like, oh, I know where I'm at. But if you don't, you can type PWD. Perfect. It tells me I'm users William Calhoun inside the desktop, inside my instruction. And then if I want to change my directory, I just type CD. If I want to go back, I do the 2 periods. If I don't want to go back, I have to say CD and then where I want my computer to go. Now, there's one other thing that I can do. I can make a directory. And a directory is just a fancy word for folder, right? So if I want to make a new folder, I just say mkdir. That is make a new directory. And then I give the folder name. If I'm going to say test. Perfect. Doesn't look like anything happened, but let's go ahead and ls. Here was when we ls'd before. I did the make directory. I ls'd again, and now you see that I have this folder test that I could actually cd into test. And there's nothing in there, but now I can navigate back and forth. So CD is going to be one that's very popular. mkdir for make directory is another one. ls shows your list and pwd shows where you're at. Are there any questions on that?
Not necessarily on that. I'm curious if you have input going off of what Cole said, because they do recommend command prompt and stuff, which is like a totally another set of commands, and I feel like a lot less flexible. I was messing around with like, because we learned how to navigate in Git and Bash and whatever on Windows, and I was doing a lot of my navigation in that. And then there is a CMD command, which literally effectively like opens up command prompt within your current folder in Git Bash. I don't know if you know much about it or if there would be anyone who would, because I'd be curious as to like, does that experience the same bugs and issues when running Python? Because obviously, yeah.
I see what you're saying. So by opening a command prompt within
Through
my
Git Bash. Yeah, well, because it doesn't actually open a command prompt. Like it literally, like I could share my screen real quick if you want to see it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
don't have a Windows, but I'm absolutely, we have plenty of instructors who do.
So first, yeah, whatever. That junk. I was trying to find out my bajillion tabs. Don't pay attention to that. Yeah, you can see big enough for you here. Just make it the whole thing or something.
Yeah, you can actually put control +sign and then it'll make the words bigger too.
Oh yeah, fancy. So yeah, you can, if I'm like in this folder right here and I type CMD, it literally like opens up, and I'm presuming, I don't know if it emulates it or what it does for a command prompt, which is I'm now effectively in command prompt. I was curious how effective that is, because it's obviously still running through Git, but I don't see why they would have a command prompt command if it's not emulating it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't really test it for any of the weird edge cases because I don't know what the quirks are of Git Bash and Python. Like I ran Python commands from here fine. So I just don't know if I'm still going to experience quirks or not. Or
yeah,
what.
I'm not exactly, let's see, I'm reading an article.
Yeah, I was trying to find them before.
From my understanding, it actually pulls up command prompt, and it's just like if you said Python in Git Bash, it'll open the Python shell and allow you to do everything with Python shell.
Yeah, so it is similar enough.
I think it's similar enough. I haven't tested any weird edge cases. I encountered the one mentioned in the curriculum, but then I fixed that by using the Bash RC and making a bunch of custom aliases for everything having to do with Django. And that solved the problem before I knew it was a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I can absolutely next class kind of get back.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Answer that. Yeah, because I've never had a student bring that apart. So great question. And Wesley, I love that you said you created aliases. As you develop, that will absolutely be like a lifesaver. For anybody that is wondering what an alias is, basically, you might find yourself doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so what I can do for myself is I can create an alias that says, you guys can see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I can create an alias that basically when I type something, it does a whole bunch of things. right? So what I can do is, so if I want to create we'll get to functions actually here in a second, but let's say I want to do, I just typed edit. And when I do edit, it basically creates, what my alias does is it creates this variable called edit and it equals. And so anytime I press edit in my ZSH, this is what it runs. It runs open tilde/.zshrc. And that just opens up this file right here, but it works great whenever I'm trying to create an environment, right? When I have an environment, instead of having to do all this or navigate and then run, this was with Django, and then instead of having to navigate all the way to my environments, then I had to run source Django bin/activate. I just typed this one time, and no matter where I was at, it activated my environment. If I wanted to run my server, I just type rs. And so that's what an alias will do. It's a little bit more advanced. I would say focus on doing like cd, ls, mkdir. And once you get to do that, you can start creating aliases to kind of make your life a little bit easier. For instance, we just did mkdir, and oftentimes when we make a directory, we then want to cd into that directory. So what I did is I actually made a function called mkcd. And so now when I do this, what it does is it does mkdir, and then after that's done, it cds into that directory. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is this $1? Well, this is the first argument after whatever I put as mkcd. So if I were to be here and say, let's see, in the desktop, if I were to say mkcd test, what this does is it goes and says, well, okay, I want to make a directory. What is the value? What is the name of this directory? It's whatever is the first thing after this mkcd. And then immediately I cd into that. Let's say I wanted to make a directory. I wanted to have 2 different folders that I wanted to create with mkcd. I could do this. I could say mkdir 2. And so, and then I want to cd into the first one. I could just do test and then test D. And the second argument that's being passed is identified as this $2. And so aliases can be something that is really powerful, can be really helpful. Like whenever I got to Django, I could do all this where it creates files. It can navigate back. It can run Django, start an entire Django admin project for me. I can do a bunch of really cool things. But don't worry about that. I would focus on, that's just what an alias is if you were curious. That's something that a lot of us instructors use a lot of because you're doing the same things over and over, right? You're going to the same places, especially as you guys are getting into, like, okay, I'm going to have everything in my Flask or my Python folder. This is a great way to do something like this. Like I have June, which I'll create an August one. And so basically I'll actually just do it with you. August Python, and then I just type August. So now if I save this, whenever I type August, it'll automatically CD into desktop, instruction CD, and get me into my August Python folder. So now if I get out of that, now I do have to go ahead and start a new terminal. So I'm here, I started a brand new one. If I say pwd, says that, but if I say August, now if I say pwd, I didn't have to cd into all that. I just typed August and it got me into this folder, which is cool, kind of cool, and definitely a time saver. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
It just came to my mind. I mean, the reason I'm asking based on your experience, I mean, right now, through this alias, we can reach to any location or folder or file we want. We can have some code and then have, but for doing that, for each of them, we need to have some type of code. Can we also have something like, okay, a function target, and inside the parentheses, whatever name of the file or folder I will type, it should take me there. Like to have a very general function like target, and inside parentheses, this variable is keep changing based on the name. I should not go each time if each time to have a code for a specific file or folder, unless it will not take me there. Like it should be, the function should be through a loop kind of thing.
I guess I'm not quite following what you're wanting to accomplish.
So here you reach to your folder August, right?
Yeah.
But you, in the backend, you had some code, right? You're saying, okay, if I type August, take me to this folder, right?
Yeah.
And it means for each of that folder or file that we want to reach quickly, right? We
Yeah.
need to have a backend code, right? For each of them one by one, right? I was thinking that can we create such a function to have just a function named target, right? And inside the parentheses of that function, that should be a variable and it should run through a loop, right? Whatever folder or file name I should type, it should take me there. I should have overall just one backend code to take me to any file or folder I want, just type the name and then take me there. I should not go one by one, create code for each file or folder.
So the only issue with that is this is a specific place of where it's located, right? And so I know August, like if I wanted to do something like a month, right? Instead of me having to do, August and then having one for June, I could absolutely create, I don't know, like a month. And then here, say, one. And what this would allow me to do is now I would have to change my naming convention, but I could just type month space August, and that'll take me to that August one within this folder. Now, when it comes to navigating outside of this exact pathway, that is where the issue happens, because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pass every argument on where to go, right? So you would have to pass, if I wanted just to go through my instruction CD, you could absolutely do that, right? And I could just do, I have to have a function name, but then at that point, now I'm typing two things, which again, you could totally change it, but then I'd be typing, month space August underscore Python, which kind of seems a little bit longer than me just having one that I just change monthly or bi-monthly. But it's totally up to you. I mean, the other thing too is whatever works for me doesn't always work for everybody else. So if you're the type that's like, actually, I want to figure out a way to make this more modern, then absolutely, please.
To be honest, all these coding at this time is above on my head. Like I'm not saying, okay, it's possible or
sure,
right. I just came to my mind. I thought, guys.
Well, hey, here's the thing. Curiosity is what makes a good developer. Mm-hmm. So as you do get these skills, try it, right? I didn't know aliases until like 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And now you can do, like my friend Bill has one who, he's another instructor, and he has one whenever we get to Flask, there's a bunch of stuff we have to create, and he has an alias that he just types the function and then the project name, and then it literally goes in and writes like code for you. It does a lot of great things. So
because one thing just came to my mind, like in Windows or Mac, we have a search button. Like if I give example of Windows, right? Windows system. Mm-hmm. You have a search like in the bottom corner. We type any file or folder we want, so it opens for us, right? It's
sure.
Search for that name and create, because we cannot have two same name for a folder, right?
Correct. Well, not in the same location.
Oh,
well, you could. It would just be.
That can be a problem.
It'd be very difficult. Yeah, it'd be very difficult. Wesley raised your hand. They raise their hand real quick, and then we'll get started. What's going on?
Yeah, I was just thinking, would grep help with that? Being able to search through, like, let's say I put a specific, like, A12 inside the file I want, and then I do a function which uses grep to find, like, that specific key.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah. Good. Like a little crawler sort of thing. You could absolutely play with it. That's it might take a while, right? Because you're doing your entire computer and every file, and there's so many files on there, but yeah, play with it. It's fun.
There should
Um,
file 6 million out of 900 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it might take way longer than just typing out the thing, but hey, play with it. That would be awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording for office hour.